My sister-in-law, Jennifer, was doing her best to keep me occupied, and it was clear she had put some thought into it. But what was her motive? That evening, it was just the four of us, my wife, Sarah, Jennifer, and her husband, David. I figured it was just a casual get-together. The night was warm, the pool looked tempting, and our plan was to unwind with some drinks by the water. Nothing unusual for two couples who've been friends for years. Yet, from the get-go, Jennifer seemed unusually fixated on me. Every few minutes, she'd come up with some reason to drag me away from the pool and into the house. "Could you fetch more ice?" she'd say, or "I could use some help in the kitchen." At first, I didn't think much of it, maybe she just needed an extra pair of hands. But as the night went on, her excuses started to stack up, and her behavior got weirder. Every time I tried to head back to the pool where Sarah and David were, Jennifer would call me back. Her tone was playful, but there was something unsettling about it. Her hand would linger on my arm a bit too long, her smile a bit too inviting. I wasn't sure what to make of it. I thought maybe I was overthinking things. Then, when I politely turned down her requests and said I wanted to go back outside, Jennifer escalated things. She didn't just flirt or try to keep me talking, she took it up a notch. Right there in the hallway, she stripped down completely. She stood there, naked, and pleaded with me for sex. I was taken aback, completely blindsided. Jennifer, my wife's sister, was standing there, begging me like it was the most normal thing in the world. My mind was racing. I couldn't wrap my head around what was happening. Why would she do this? And where was Sarah? I won't lie, part of me was tempted. I'm not a religious man, but I have my own relationship with God. I try to live by Christian values, especially when it comes to loyalty and morality. The temptation was real, but my sense of reason won out. I couldn't give in. It didn't matter how desperate Jennifer was or how strong the temptation felt in that moment. I knew it was wrong. I refused her, telling her this wasn't right, that I couldn't do this. Jennifer looked stunned, as if she couldn't believe someone would say no. But I wasn't about to betray my wife, no matter how strange and unsettling the situation had become. Jennifer didn't want to give up. After I refused, she grabbed my hand, holding on tighter than I expected. Her eyes, wide and desperate, searched my face as she asked, "Why? Why are you refusing? Am I not your type?" I felt cornered, but I didn't want to be harsh. I tried to explain it to her as gently as I could. "Jennifer, you're a beautiful woman. Anyone else in my position probably wouldn't have thought twice about your offer, but sometimes there are people with a firmer stance on things." She didn't take the answer well. Instead of backing off, Jennifer grew more determined, her grip tightening on my hand. She started trying to manipulate me, her voice soft and persuasive. "It's just a small experiment," she said. "There's nothing wrong with it, really. No one has to know. It's harmless." I stood there, listening to her desperation and feeling increasingly uncomfortable. Her words swirled around in my head, but something felt off. It wasn't just her odd behavior, it was the whole situation, the way she had been pulling me aside all night, the way she was now begging for something that felt far from a harmless experiment. Then it hit me, this wasn't some moment of madness, some spontaneous urge. This was a well-thought-out plan. Jennifer had been working all night to get me away from the pool, from Sarah, and keep me distracted. But if this was a plan, the question that gripped me harder than Jennifer's hand was, where is my wife, and what is going on here? I knew I had to find out fast. Before I acted, I hesitated that my mind was racing like a hurricane. What if this was some sort of test, a prank to push my loyalty to the limit? I recalled how Sarah and I had recently laughed about scenarios like this, discussing loyalty and trust. At the time, it felt like harmless, playful chatter. But now, standing in that hallway with Jennifer, desperate and bare in front of me, I started to question everything. Could Sarah have orchestrated this? Had she devised this twisted test of my fidelity, even involving her own sister? Jennifer's desperate actions suddenly seemed rehearsed, calculated. The idea was so outlandish, so bizarre, that it almost made sense. It felt cruel, an unthinkable way to test someone's trust. But what if that was precisely what was happening? And now, folks, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Drop your comments below. Is this the ultimate test of loyalty, or is there something more sinister at play? You'll soon discover that things are far from straightforward here. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you don't miss out on more shocking and complex tales of betrayal that seem to hide in even the most mundane parts of life. There's always more to uncover. Anyway, I definitely didn't want to keep talking to Jennifer. The whole situation was making me nauseous. I turned around sharply, snatched the nearest bottle of booze from the counter, and stormed out of the house towards the pool. I needed to find my wife, Sarah, and get to the bottom of this insanity. I wanted answers. What was going on, and what were these ridiculous tests for? Jennifer tried to stop me, calling out, but I didn't give her the chance. As soon as I stepped outside, I froze. There, by the pool, was a horrifying sight. Sarah, my wife, was in David's arms. They were kissing, and it wasn't just some casual, drunken mistake. They were completely engrossed in each other. As I stood there in shock, Sarah had already begun to remove her swimsuit. Rage surged through me, and before I could stop myself, I shouted, "What the hell are you doing?" My voice echoed across the yard, shattering whatever spell they were under. Without thinking, I threw the martini glass in their direction. It shattered against the pavement near the pool, splashing them with cold liquor. They jumped, startled, and scrambled to cover themselves. Sarah's face was a mix of fear and guilt, and David looked equally shaken. For a moment, there was complete silence. Then, Sarah, recovering from the shock, screamed at me, "Why are you acting like this?" David, trying to calm things down, raised his hands and said, "Man, what are you doing? Everything's okay. Don't be nervous." Everything wasn't okay, not by a long shot. Just then, Jennifer rushed out after me, probably hoping to salvage the situation. But by now, anger had completely taken over. These people I thought I knew, were playing some twisted game, and I was done with it. We were about to have a serious conversation, and this time, there'd be no more games. A tense silence hung in the air as Sarah, David, and Jennifer all stared at me, unsure of what I'd do next. But instead of apologizing or explaining themselves, they did something that made my blood boil even more: they laughed. "Relax," Sarah said, her tone suddenly casual, as if nothing out of the ordinary had happened. "This is just an experiment, okay? We thought it'd be fun. It's wife swapping. You're overreacting." David nodded, smirking as if he were trying to soothe a child. "Yeah, man, people do this all the time. It's not a big deal. It makes people happy, you know. Helps couples grow closer." I could feel my heart pounding, but before I could respond, Jennifer chimed in with a sly smile. "What's the big deal? Why didn't you want me earlier? Am I not attractive enough for you? You could have had some fun too, you know." I stared at them, completely taken aback. They were dead serious. They genuinely thought I'd just go along with their twisted game. It wasn't just about the betrayal anymore, it was about how utterly out of touch they were with reality, my reality. "You're all crazy," I finally snapped, my voice shaking with anger. "This isn't normal. This isn't some experiment. You've crossed every boundary. Do you have any idea what you're doing to me, to our marriage?" Sarah rolled her eyes, looking bored. "God, you're so old-fashioned. It's the 21st century. You're just insecure because you don't get it. People do this all the time. It's liberating." I couldn't believe my ears. "Insecure?" I yelled, my fists clenched. "I'm standing here watching my wife undress for another man while your sister tries to throw herself at me, and you're telling me I'm insecure? They all started talking over each other, trying to convince me that I was the one being unreasonable. Jennifer giggled and teased me again, saying, "You didn't even want me. I thought men were supposed to like this sort of thing." "That's enough," I shouted, silencing them. I could feel the fury rising, my hands shaking as I struggled to keep control. "Do you hear yourselves? Do you have any idea how disgusting this is?" And then, in their desperation to justify themselves, the truth came out. David, trying to calm things down, said something that made everything clear. "Look, we've been doing this for a while, okay? The three of us. We just thought you'd eventually be up for it. We didn't mean to hurt you." It hit me like a punch to the gut. They had already crossed that line a long time ago, behind my back. This wasn't just some impulsive experiment. They had planned this. The three of them, conspiring together, had been intimate for who knows how long, and now they wanted to drag me into it. They wanted me to join their twisted little game. I stood there, furious and disgusted, staring at the people I once trusted. This was never about happiness or fun. "You betrayed me, all of you." They looked at me, still trying to make me feel like the one who didn't get it, but I knew better. This wasn't freedom, this was betrayal, plain and simple, and I wasn't going to let them twist it any other way. Sarah suddenly spoke up, her voice oddly casual for the situation. "You know, when Jennifer and I were in college, we swapped boyfriends once. It was fun, actually. Just something we did for the thrill of it. After all these years, we remembered that experience and thought we'd try it again. But of course, you ruined everything. I knew you were a gloomy man, but I hoped you'd loosen up at least a little." I nearly collapsed from shock upon hearing her words. My own wife, confessing that she and her sister had been involved in this kind of behavior before and thinking it was perfectly fine to spring it on me now. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I turned to David, the only person who I thought might still have some sense left in him. "If these two women have been crazy for a long time, then what about you, David? I thought you were a responsible, normal guy. Are you a man or just a yard dog following your instincts?" David laughed, brushing off my accusation. "There's no need to insult me, Steve. I'm just trying to live a little." He paused, then his face turned serious as he suggested, "Look, why don't we all just calm down, have a drink, relax? Steve, let's try it all together, right here, right now. You'll see, it'll feel good. Trust me. You just need to let go, drink a little more to take the edge off." I stood there, absolutely crushed by the absurdity of what I was hearing. My wife, her sister, and David, the man I thought was a decent human being, were all part of this twisted plan to drag me into their chaos. Despair gripped me as I realized how far they had all strayed. My mind raced for a response, something to make them see just how low they had sunk. "So, you think you're modern, sexually liberated, huh? You must think you're so cool, don't you? Well, guess what? We're not on the same page." Without waiting for a reply, I stormed back into the house, my heart pounding with a mix of anger and disbelief. My eyes caught sight of a fire extinguisher hanging by the kitchen door. I grabbed it, determined to make my point. I marched back out to the pool where they were still lounging, waiting for me to join their sick game. I yanked the pin from the extinguisher and pointed it straight at them. "Cool down, you bastard," I shouted. "You wanted fun? Well, here's your foam party." I squeezed the handle, and a thick spray of foam exploded across the poolside, covering them in a white cloud. Sarah screamed in shock, Jennifer tried to dodge the blast, and David just sat there, dumbfounded. The foam sprayed everywhere, drenching them in a cold, soapy mess as I continued to shout, "You want fun? You want modern? Here, take it all." For the first time that night, I felt something close to satisfaction. If they wanted a party, I was going to give them one they'd never forget. While they were scrambling to get themselves together, covered in foam and completely thrown off by my little party, I pulled out my phone and called a taxi. The adrenaline was still pumping through me, but I knew I needed to get out of there as soon as possible. Before leaving, I turned back to them, my voice loud and clear. "Sarah, I don't want to know you or your crazy sister anymore. And you, David, are just a plastic toy in the hands of these two psychos." I could see the shock on their faces, but I didn't care. There was no saving this. I was done with them, all of them. I stormed off, not looking back as I left that house of insanity behind. When I got home, I didn't waste any time. I packed my things, threw what I could into a suitcase, and decided I needed to move, get away from everything. There was no way I was staying in the same place, breathing the same air, after what had happened. A few days later, I started the divorce proceedings. It wasn't easy, but it was the only way forward. Sarah, Jennifer, and even David still tried to contact me after that, but only to make me admit that I'd overreacted, that I was wrong. They wanted me to apologize, to see things their way. It was laughable, really. So now, folks, what do you think? Am I the fool here? Did I miss out on some great opportunity to be a part of their twisted little game? I'll tell you something, I have honor, and I have dignity, and I'm not about to waste those on the pathetic fantasies of pathetic people. You can judge me, you can call me an old-fashioned conservative if you want, but don't forget one thing. Those people who rely only on pleasure, who chase after nothing but their own desires, they're the ones who lose in the end. I walked away with my self-respect intact, and that's something they'll never understand.